Welcome to the next Teach. Today we're not just learning about a topic, we're actually learning how to teach any topic. We stumbled upon these simple but incredibly powerful blueprints for explaining anything, and it comes from a master teacher with decades of experience. So, how do they do it? Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with a feeling I think we have all had. You're sitting in a class, maybe a work meeting, and the person explaining is just throwing around jargon and super complex ideas, and you are just completely lost. You start to wonder, wait, am I the one who is not smart enough to get this? It's just an awful, frustrating feeling. But what if the problem isn't you? What if there's a specific method, almost like a formula, for explaining things so clearly that literally anyone can understand? Well, we found this really fascinating document that might be just that, a step-by-step guide to making the complex simple. Now, our source for this isn't some fancy academic study or a best-selling book. Nope, it's something much more real, much more grounded, a detailed set of instructions written for a teacher in Lagos, Nigeria. A teacher with over 25 years of actual in-the-trenches classroom experience. And this right here, this single sentence is the heart of the entire method. This is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. It's not just about knowing your subject inside and out. It's about knowing your audience and, crucially, meeting them exactly where they are, which is right at the beginning, at ground zero. So, let's break that down. The very first principle is this idea of starting from zero. This one thing fundamentally changes how you explain something. It forces you to get rid of all your assumptions, all the stuff you think the other person might already know. And that commitment to starting from zero, well, it leads you right to the next core idea, absolute clarity. Now, this isn't about dumbing it down, not at all. It's about building understanding piece by piece, brick by brick, breaking every single concept into its smallest possible parts so that absolutely no one gets left behind. Okay, so we're starting from zero and we're aiming for absolute clarity. But to make an idea really, truly stick, you need this third principle. You've got to make it real. This is all about bridging the gap between an abstract concept and the real, tangible, everyday world of your audience. And check this out. This is such a perfect illustration of the technique. The instructions are super specific. Don't just use generic textbook examples. No. Use things the students in Lagos would see every single day. Yam plants, goats, mosquitoes. Right away, this makes a new idea feel familiar and anchors it in a reality they already understand. So we have our three principles, right? Start from zero, prioritize clarity, and make it real. But how does this all come together in a real lesson? Let's actually put this method into action with the exact topic from our source material, explaining the difference between primary and secondary sources. Okay, so following the blueprint, the teacher would start right here. Forget about dusty old archives for a second. A primary source is just direct, first-hand evidence. Using that relatable example we just talked about, it's like you are standing in the field and you see the goat with your two eyes. You were there, you're the witness. So then what's a secondary source? Well, it's just one step removed. It's your friend who saw the goats coming over and telling you about it later. They are describing or analyzing the event. It's not the event itself, it's the commentary about the event. Pretty simple when you put it that way, right? So here's the absolute key difference. A primary source is the raw data, the diary, the photograph, the actual goat. A secondary source is the commentary on that data, the history textbook, the documentary, your friend's story about the goat. One is the thing itself, the other is about the thing. And the reason that simple goat analogy works so incredibly well is because it comes from experience, which brings us right back to this number. 25 years. This method isn't some new theory. It has been tested and tweaked and perfected in a real classroom for a quarter of a century. This is what has been proven to work. But the real magic of this blueprint is that it's not just for a history class in Lagos. It is a universal tool for communication. Think about it. Whether you're explaining a new piece of software to your team, a financial plan to a client, or shoot, even just a board game to your friends, This method works. So, here's the main takeaway. It all comes down to a simple 3-step process you can use for anything. Step 1, start from zero. Assume nothing. Step 2, use relatable examples. Connect the idea to your audience's world. And step 3, prioritize clarity. Break it all down into simple, bite-sized pieces. This is your guide to becoming a fantastic explainer. And that really brings us to our final thought. What is one thing in your life, could be at work, could be at home, that you always kind of struggle to explain? Just think about it for a second. Using this simple, powerful blueprint, how could you explain it with total clarity, starting right now?